Good day, my friends, and welcome to this, our Sunday version of this thing of ours on the 16th of June in the year 2024. And as we always start off with this benediction, this slap of reality, there are 142 days until the election. And it is absolutely looking like a not a log jam, that's the wrong word, a tsunami in favor of President Trump. Before we begin, happy Father's Day to not only fathers, but the memory of what fathers are and the memory of what gender and gender roles mean. And one of the things which is so important and so critical, and the older I get, I know of some absolute truth. And we always talk about the role of the father in terms of the young man. The father in terms of the young man. I don't want to get into weird Oedipal. It's not really Oedipal or Oedipal. That's really incorrect. It's a misuse of the term. But before we begin, the most important role that men have between sons and daughters is daughter. Not son, daughter. I am telling you right now, and this goes against everything. It goes against every theoretical meme, every repeated meme. One of the things which is the most critical is how a man is connected with his daughter and how he presents the male structure, the male symbol to a girl, to a daughter. Because I'm telling you, I have seen this throughout my entire life. When you hear adults later on talk about when they were growing up, traumatic moments, things that happened, and you talk about adults, watch what happens and how this affects the abandonment complex in girls. Unbelievable. And let me also tell you something. You will see men trying to give birth, but you don't see women trying to be fathers. It's the strangest thing, which is part and parcel of today's homily, as it were. We have a lot to talk about. Subjects that are so diverse, so incredible. I promise you, you will not get it in this package, this mélange, this lump, dare I say, this compilation. So sit back, get ready, make sure you are, number one, subscribed. The number of folks that keep saying, hey, I thought I was subscribed, but I'm not. I don't know why. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this. And make sure you are always notified or hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. But before we begin, ladies and germs, let us begin with this incredibly important and critical message from our important and critically critical sponsor. There's bad turbulence now. The economy is a minefield right now, ready to detonate and destroy the wealth and dreams of the unprepared. Bank failures, de-dollarization, debt. But amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope emerges. Kevin Sorbo, screen legend, Hercules, Christian actor, and an outspoken activist for the people. With his economic crisis toolkit crafted in partnership with the experts at Noble Gold, Sorbo is now on a mission to help everyday Americans navigate the coming nightmare. This shock-proof toolkit is your compass through the turmoil with recession-proof strategies, inflation-busting techniques, and opportunity-seizing skills to help you not just survive, but thrive in the bedlam. The crisis threatens to derail your financial future, but you now can stay on track and emerge stronger than ever. And the best part, this shield of knowledge is yours absolutely free. Don't become another casualty. Enlist in Sorbo's Wealth Warrior ranks today and arm yourself with the tools and tactics you need to protect your hard-earned assets. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com now and sign up for the Economic Crisis Toolkit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. I want to begin from this particular homily, this important and critical aspect. Freud has been the most misquoted, misunderstood, and misrepresented of all theoreticians, all psychologists, all philosophers. Freud and Marx. Again, German. I throw them collectively into the German pile. I know Bavarian, Austrian, whatever it is. So much of what is said, people think they know, just like they think they understand Ayn Rand. They think they know the Bible. They think they know the Constitution. They think they sort of know maybe whatever it is. But there is something that is very difficult for a lot of people to understand, and that is that when you grow up, your personality is wet cement. It has yet to harden. It has yet to really, can be anything. You know what I mean? It's like before it sets, make sure the there's no handprints or fingerprints or whatever it is, because this little patio, this sidewalk, whatever it is, it's gonna set. It's not like it's marble where you have to chip away. It doesn't work like that. That's different, okay? Marble is something, if you leave it alone, it stays like that. It just stays like that. This is wet cement. It's gonna harden. And you got to make sure you want to do it. There's going to be problems. It's going to be cracks later on. But as it grows, and all you have to do, very, very simple, is just love, 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 love. Doesn't mean you don't get a weird one. In my life, I've also realized that there are people who are just weird. There are people who have always been strange. There are people who, for whatever reason, they have been born weird. They're just strange. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can fix it. Nothing you can do to change it. They are just weird. They are weird people. Weird, strange. And that's the way that is. So don't get upset. Don't get angry. That's just, what are you going to do? But the most important thing is for the notion of a man and a woman and abandonment. I'm telling you. That's all. That's all I want to say. Because much of what we're going through right now, and I see it, so many people, oh my God, there isn't. My game now is, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? Everybody I meet, what's wrong with them? You've got 5 minutes. What's wrong with them? Size them up. What do you think it is? Because there's stuff that happens later on in life that changes you. Remember, there's genetics and epigenetics. Epigenetics are what happens later on. Remember, nature cocks the gun, but epigenetics pulls the trigger. All kinds of things. I don't want to waste you with my philosophies. But we always talk about, with all this stuff about gender. And this, I'm telling you, President Trump is the issue. The issue that is so easy to explain. This is it. You could talk all day long about taxes. You could talk all day long about Russia. Trump's out there on the hustings, absolutely destroying. You know what he's not talking about? Israel. America doesn't care about that. Ukraine, well, doesn't hit home. It's one of those things that just doesn't hit home. It doesn't connect. It's theoretical. There's a bunch of other people. This is where my friends who are in various social media platforms think, well, everybody cares about this. No, they don't. Sorry. It's like if you want to open up a restaurant and you're picking out that menu, you better realize what people want. I cannot tell you how many times people have said, for example, real true Italian food artists and cuisine experts will say there's no such thing as fettuccine Alfredo. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Number one here. They love it. Spaghetti and meatballs. Doesn't exist there. Number one here. Doesn't care what you think. The fortune cookie. Doesn't exist here. Now when people are done telling me about what is and isn't real, I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm going to put on my menu. That's what people love. This is a seller. This thing works. Better have a kids menu. Better have a kids menu. What do you think kids like? That's right. The stuff that's pedestrian. Think baseball park or, hot dogs. Got it. I don't care what's special. I don't care what's rarefied. I don't care what people think. I don't care. The stuff. Nobody's talking about AI, AGI, UFOs. A little bit. Nobody's talking about that. They're talking about real simple things to understand. Real simple things. Things that I know make sense. Things that absolutely make sense. Here's the Brad, everyone. Brad says, happy Father's Day to all. Love you, Lionel. Brad, love you as well. Let me tell you something right now, an example of something which is a terrible example, but sometimes things that make the most sense. In a murder prosecution, there was a child. I forget the facts of the case. It doesn't really matter. But it was a child. The child was the victim. And the prosecutor could have done all kinds of things. Could have done all kinds of things. Could have done all kinds of things. Put up pictures, and that's very, very dangerous tip. And the only thing it did was it took a doll, a favorite doll, or whatever it was, and held it. And said, this is the only thing that is left of this little girl. I think it was found with the body. That's all it was. It was just a little stuffed thing. It was nothing. That did more. That killed them. That killed the jury. That did it. It was just a little doll. Now, I don't know why. What about the pictures? The pictures were almost like too gross to even, it didn't even connect. Sometimes you got to know how to connect. You got to know what it is that makes people laugh. You got to know what makes people laugh. There are some jokes I know that are funny and people laugh and it gets them. And it may not be the most, it may not be the most rarefied of stuff, but it's still pretty good. It may not be the most sophisticated of humor, but I know what works. And when people vote, they don't vote because of numbers. They vote because of feeling. It's the way it works. I always ask people this. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? As an example, whenever you're in a live, little flaxseed, pardon me. Whenever you're in a live chat, you'll ask a question and a chat goes off. This is just an exception. I think number one movie to me, the greatest, is The Godfather, for reasons I can't even go into. And if you ask me why, I said, I don't know. Is it the lighting? Is it the this? Is it the right? I don't know. I don't know. Same thing with, I keep telling people macaroni and cheese. I don't know why I keep thinking about macaroni and cheese. Here's macaroni, here's cheese. People go crazy. And if a kid likes it, it's good. There's something really base. If a kid likes it, who doesn't like that? When you go to people and you say, let me explain to you very, very simply what we are up against. You go on, you want to talk about Trump, talk about Trump and what he's done for black people and Asian people and this people. And go ahead, please, just waste your time with that. Let me say something. Here's why you should vote for President Trump.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
I don't think you caught that.
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this ad. That's it. That's it. Go ahead. Talk about everything else. That's it. Tony Schwartz, the greatest ad person ever, who put together the ad of the daisy, the little girl pulling the daisies. It was the greatest ad ever. It was it was the greatest ad ever. It just, you don't understand. It just works. And I don't know why it works. It's the macaroni and cheese effect. There are people who represent the dare I say, who represent the conservative cause today who are simpletons. I'm not going to mention too many by names. I don't care. They get the job done. Stick with them. Go with them. They hit a nerve. They hit the macaroni and cheese effect. They hit the macaroni and cheese. There's Raul. Happy Pops Day to all. The same to you, brother Raul. Thank you, sir. Very, very simple. What is it? What is this about? Just tell me. Very, very simple. There's something in the world called law and order. You want to talk about Trump? You want to talk about you just go through these things. Go. I want something that when I hit them, it's the song in October the 26th when we be at the cutting room. And there's a song I wrote called Biden's Gotta Go. Biden's got to go. Biden's got to go. Biden's got to go. Biden's got to go. I did it last time, and people were going crazy. And they were singing this in their head, and it's the closest thing I've ever come to a hit. Why? I don't know why. It just did. It just macaroni and cheese. I don't know why. I don't know why. There are certain things that I don't know why. I love to know what is it that pulls people. Did you ever go to a Costco? Did you ever go? Remember the old days when you were in a store on the weekend and they had this woman? She set up a little card table, and I've always remembered this. Has a little tablecloth, a card table. Remember those old card tables? Did you have a card table at your home growing up? Of course you had. It's this card table with the legs that opened up. You put it there, and she had a little frying pan she plugged in somewhere, and she had like Jimmy Dean sausage. I don't know who this woman was. It looked like your grandmother. And she would just slice little pieces. Remember the sausage with a toothpick? And you'd walk by and say, should I just try this Jimmy Dean sausage? And it smells great. It's like, oh my God. And you take it. I'll take it. I'll buy it. I'll take it. And you get it home and say, it's just Jimmy Dean sausage. What was special about that? I have no idea. Why was it? This is it? This is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes food tastes better in bigger bites. When I see people eat a sandwich like this, I don't understand how they do this. You got to take a big bite of it. Pizza, you got to fold it and you stick it in your mouth. I don't. Anybody who eats popcorn one kernel at a time, get out of my sight. Get out of my sight. Certain things just hit you. So when you get done talking about how great President Trump is, and he's great, let me just show you this, why I think you should vote for him. That's how we do out here. That's how we do it. How you like that?
Hey, bro, we got fucking shit. We got knife. We got fucking knife.
Right.
And how that nigga tired?
Look at that. Look at it. Now, if I were to tell you those are either all or many of them illegals, that's it. I'm President Trump, and I approve this ad. That's it. That's it. Can you imagine growing up in this country and jumping on a police car? I've spent my life. I've always believed in police calming down, police recognizing that they are not the military. I've always believed this. I understood this. But if all of a sudden, when you saw this, if shots rang out from inside that patrol car and those people on top fell to the ground, and I was a juror, I'd say, do we have the not guilty form right here? Can we just jump? Save your closing argument. You got the jury verdict? Yeah, let's do not guilty right now. It's not called nullification. This is called not guilty. That's what's wrong with this country. It starts at the top and it trickles down. Little things like that. Opening the border. We are having savages in here. Let me see if I can explain something to you. And this is another story. For reasons I don't know, Mrs. L and I were talking about this. There are women walking around. I don't know where you are. with their arse hanging out, little tiny pants and little things and little clothes. And they're walking around with this. They're basically like saying, come on. There are demented people. Listen to me. Be careful. You might be offended. They're from parts of the world. They're from jungles, third world areas. And these are people with no education and no morality and a kind of a third world jungle, brutal, I don't know what it is. This idea about being in the, and you can attribute it, of course, to poverty and despair and a variety of. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. So they live in this world, and they live in this, and they have absolutely no respect for women. None. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's backwards. It's uneducated. It's absolutely poverty at levels. And there's a culture and a way of thinking where women are just chattel, objects, nothing, just. There was this thing years ago. Maybe you remember it. They used to talk about a classic thing. Italian men. Hey, women and French, ooh la la. The French and the European, they were kind of this. Americans never really did this. The closest thing is maybe the joke about a woman walking by construction sites. You'd hear that. I walk by a construction site and they got whistles. So you hear about these pockets of the male aggregate, right? And then this male aggregate works kind of together and by virtue of this, does this. Well, that may be great. That may be wonderful, but this is something else. There are people who have women are chattel, tackling dummies. They mean nothing. And they come here illegally. And there are women who are walking around with their arse hanging out. Hanging, let me say this, because of gravity. Let me also say something. There was a time in this country where the joke used to be, please forgive me ahead of time, where the joke used to be, do I look fat in this? It was a joke. Comedians would say this. If your wife or your girlfriend said, do I look fat in this? And that was the joke. There was a time, do you remember when women used to wrap? I had a friend of mine, his wife would always wrap things around her waist. Why? Because she had the caboose the size of a Buick. And she figured if I wrap a sweater around it, somehow you won't see it. It's like holding a kid holding his hands up in front of his face. No, now to me it calls attention because that's the universal sign of, okay, fine. Again, it's not a crime. I'm pointing out the obvious. Please don't be offended. I'm not fat shaming. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. For some reason, maybe with the Kardashians, maybe with the Lizzos or whoever the hell it is, all of a sudden, now the fatter, the dimplier, the jigglier, the crater, the more, remember the old joke? I know why they call it mooning. Look at all the craters. Yoga pants. Ladies, have you seen yoga pants? We see this all the time. And I'm, driving through the city and I'm thinking, I wouldn't wear that. Why? Because people will do anything in fat. Just like these slides with the mid-ankle look that men are wearing. It's stupid slippers and anything, tattoos, things in your nose, whatever the fat is, they're like lemmings. Long story short, look at these people. Thank you, Ibrahim. Gifted 10 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, good friend. When you have these savages devoid of any culturation, no anything like respect, the sense of law and order. These are sovereignty burglars. Do you hear what I'm saying? They are burglars. They entered this country. They're like squatters. They are people who come to this country and they act like squatters. Does this make any sense to you? I hope it does. I hope it does. Women are out there basically waiting, just waiting to be absolutely attacked and ravaged by these horrible, horrible people. Do you hear what I'm saying? Does this make any sense to you? This is where we are. This is it. This is it. Count the number of murders, of sexual battery. Count the number. It's through the roof. That's Joe Biden. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Listen to this man of all places. This is, I believe, a police chief from Maryland. Listen to his entreaty.
I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This is the second time in just 2 years that an innocent Harford County woman has lost her life to a criminal in our country illegally. Let me repeat that. 1,800 miles from the southern border, and this is the second woman in our county to be killed by an illegal alien. Suspects, in both cases, they are suspects from El Salvador with ties to criminal gangs. Should not be happening.
Yep.
Victor Hernandez did not come here to make a better life for himself or for his family. He came here to escape the crime he committed in El Salvador. He came here and murdered Rachel, and God willing, no one else. But that should have never been allowed to happen.
This is called the deliberate and systematic destruction of our sovereignty by looking the other way and not giving a hoot about our sense of law and order. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want. And there are a few pockets of people who might care about this. Americans don't want this. We have this crazy thing in New York called congestion pricing. Don't laugh because it's coming to your city next. And the reason, it's a long story. So Governor Kathy Hochul, by the way, it's not her fault. It's that ridiculous, that fool, Salazzo, Cuomo, Lurch, Andrew Cuomo, who had to leave in disgrace. We got stuck with this numbnuts because he couldn't keep his hands off of people. He was such a lech. He had to grab people and get close to them and freak women out. This guy is weird. And his brother is that punk who's on every two-bit, half-ass, horrible news network station place you can imagine. This con with the fake weights, Fredo. This is the Cuomo family. And they're one's the Dauphin of Mario Cuomo, the egomaniac who for some reason couldn't run for office at the last minute. We'll get to that. That's really in the past. But anyway, so we have this thing called congestion pricing. Kathy Hochul, the governor, said, I'm going to put this off indefinitely. Translation, after the election. So the other day, people are saying, thank God, it costs you. How much to get into this city? How much does it cost? You got to pay like $30. If you drive a truck and you come into the city every time, $30. Forget the tolls. Forget everything else. Forget the bridges, the tunnels. It costs a fortune. So now there's this thing called congestion pricing. And people who live here, to go out of out of a parking space and go 2 blocks over, $13, $15, $20, whatever it is. Nobody even understands it. Why? Because of this thing. Finally, and there are these meter readers, these big, these units, these stanchions, these poles, these devices, they all of a sudden overnight, there they are, ready to read everything. So what they're doing is you can buy these films to put in front of your license tag, which obscures it. People are scraping off the paint. People are putting all kinds of film. People are doing everything you can imagine to get away from this. Okay, fine. Do you know that after the city was saying, thank you for the relief, thank you, when we have all of these we have this idiot, this moron, cretin, Eric Adams, who had this as a sanctuary city, after we went through all of this nonsense. Do you know there were people yesterday who were protesting Kathy Hochul? They're on bikes. We had to do something about climate change. They won congestion pricing. Now, there's always going to be crazy people. There's always going to be these people. They don't represent anybody. They don't represent anybody. But the majority of people understand that we are being overrun by people who are savages, animals, hominids. They look like you. They may have similar DNA. The bonobo has similar DNA to you. There are certain forms of algae that have very similar DNA. But these people are devoid of humanity. This is what we're dealing with right now. And that's the bottom line. And that's what the president has to address. That's it. Nothing fancy. Nothing about Israel or Ukraine or none of that. Americans don't give a damn about that. That's over there. That's more money we don't have that the Fed is going to sanction or write up. That's European talk. Now, let me ask you to stop 1 second and pay close attention to our dear friend, that absolute gem of a human being by the name of Mike Lindell, and this incredible product, MyPillow.com. Only if you use promo code Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0, My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. MyPillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. Let's talk about some other great things too. Before I begin, what am I saying? I've already begun. It made no sense before I begin. Last night, I believe, in Texas, there's a fellow by the name of George Strait. George Strait is he is the last, I think, of the Mohicans. He is one of the greats. He had a concert with 110,905 attendees. Okay? This was the Texas A&M University concert. Aggies, Texas Aggies, okay? The largest audience of any concert in American history. It's also the largest ever at this Kyle Field, okay? Why do you think that is? George Strait has never veered. He is one of the primogenitors, dare I speak, of the current iteration of country music the way it was before. Personally speaking, if you have to hear someone that you will love, follow my friend Dale Watson. Unbelievable. But let me give you an idea of this. And this is very, very critical. This is a little idea of what it was at... Look at this. George Strait, Amarillo by morning. All my exes live in Texas.
I'm ashamed to say this, but this is my first time to ever be in Kyle Field. Damn!
Look at that. Take that, Taylor Swift.
Just invite me back.
Stone can't do that. George Strait.
It's so good to be here with Katie Offerman.
Listen, look at this.
And Parker McCollum.
That's America right there, my friend.
And happy birthday, Parker. My gosh.
Isn't that something? Doesn't that just make you? I don't know about you, but that just makes me hurt. Country music is still country music and blues, prototypical, quintessentially American. And that's why I've got just a couple of pictures of famous people, maybe two. Had a lot of people that come through radio stations. And here I am with some. I mean, some are good, you know. Sometimes I put them up just for let people know good to see them. This is me and George Jones. This is the greatest one ever. This is me. This was in 1993, I believe, December. I'm heavily armed at the time, and so was George Jones. Country music is America. Country music is America. That's it. It is quintessentially, prototypically, and so is, I like collective words like is, the Beatles, is, anyway, that's all I want to say about that. Now, a couple of things getting back to the basics. President Trump is going to win this. You know this. He's absolutely going to win this. And the reason why, primarily, is because he's running against this man.
She knew so long as she was denied.
Right.
Our freedom can never be secured.
Okay.
She knew so long as she was denied.
There you go. And that's it. And I'm going to mock him until he goes back to Wilmington. Am I shaming him? Yes. How dare you do this? How dare you sully me, my country, and the rest of us by putting this Judge Rule in charge of anything? Okay. How utterly dare you? But here's one of the things that the president has been able to do. And let me also tell you something. We know more people, and I will never, ever betray a trust, but people who are Black, Hispanic, Latino, whatever it is, who are 100% for Trump, and they are one of these. There used to be an old joke. Here's the joke. The joke goes like this. Do you know what this is? Somebody about to tell a race joke or a black joke or whatever joke. But that was the joke. If you told a joke that could be taken the wrong way, normally of a racist comment, allegedly, this is the joke now. People always go like that. Today, do you know what this is? Somebody about to tell you they favor Trump, that they're voting for Trump. It's all over the place. And he does it. And this is the guy they're telling you, oh, he has no connection. He's a liar. He's a sexual predator. Nobody even, don't even, this is the president speaking this is before this congregation of African-American leaders at, I think, one particular church in Detroit.
Look at how Joe Biden became the president and allowed Afghanistan to collapse and allowed our soldiers to die it angers me. And we have a president who loved our soldiers, and we need to put our president back in office. And I just want to know, President Trump.
Listen.
Please don't allow our soldiers to walk around wearing red high-heel shoes.
See that? Yep. You can laugh all you want. This is the thing that people find so... By the way, very quickly, Gloria, Toby Keith, Beer for My Horses is wonderful. The one song he did about his bass player who died tragically was beautiful. But Brooks and Dunn, Red Dirt Road, Neon Moon, I believe, and Red Dirt Road is the greatest. Brooks and Dunn. And oh my God, Ronnie Dunn. He did My Maria. Oh my God. I don't know what Kix Brooks does. I have no idea what his whole thing is. That's all I want to say to you. In any event, now, listen to what the president said sometime back, which is also absolutely critical.
I plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children.
Yes.
Can you believe this?
No.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states.
Good.
I'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that terrific? He does another one too about Big Pharma and vaccines. And let me throw another one at you. My new favorite, Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy. There's a look. You want to talk about a stink eye? She hates Macron with a passion. Watch this. She does nothing to hide this. This is, I mean, she has utter. You want to see contempt? This is her reaction to Macron. This is the G7. Watch her expression. Now, this isn't very long. We'll run it again. So pay attention. Look at that face. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that face. Is that beautiful? One more time. I love it. How are you? Yeah. Get the hell out of there. That's it. I don't know why she cracks me up. She was the one who went over and helped our old friend Pops, our president, when everybody else abandoned him. Now, here's another one for you. I want you to turn. There is a movement. This is what we're seeing right now. Remember, this murmuration is not just in this country. There is a young lady. She's 23. I've been following her for a long time. Her name is Naomi Zeibt. She's from Germany. She's 23. She's been doing this forever. And she shows an absolute genius. This is called and I've got this on my YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever it's called. The revolution will be televised and posted and uploaded and never forgotten with respect to the great Gil Scott-Heron. Pay attention or be trampled. This is, listen to her, listen to this genius of this young lady, and who, of course, speaks better English, of course, than most people in this country, and she's German.
My name is Naomi Zeibt, and I am speaking to you from Germany. Today I would like to address the massive change that has been taking place in our political and cultural sphere of the past few months in particular. We have witnessed this in the European election results, which highlight that we are in the middle of a right-wing revolution.
Now, listen to what she says. They call it right-wing, okay? Now, I know what you listen to. She's going to be using one of your favorite terms. I know this about you.
Especially among the youth of Europe. Although maybe we should rephrase this, because can we really put this on a right-wing revolution? Or rather, we have been shifting the Overton window back to some kind of common sense being in the middle of the spectrum of political opinions.
The Overton window. Moving it to the middle to normal. This is what Sarah Huckabee Sanders said. It's not about left or right. It's about crazy and normal.
Because what once was considered common sense and the political center is now being called the far right. Isn't that interesting? Perhaps it has to do with the fact that, especially in Europe, it is very easy to condemn someone who is somehow associated with the far right because of our political history. The truth is, however, that the leftist establishment is plunging us into a new kind of neo-Marxist authoritarian.
Neo-Marxist, I love this, one more time. Neo-Marxist
authoritarianism, both on an economic and now also on a cultural level. East Germany in particular has realized this, which we can observe in the last election results, and they have rejected this neo-Marxist agenda as they are very aware of the horrors, of the consequences of a socialist tyranny.
Im Osten Deutschlands hat ja die AfD bei der Europawahl quasi den Wahlzettel bestimmt. In allen Flächenländern war sie stärkste Kraft, ganz anders im Westen.
Ja, und das Ergebnis ist symptomatisch für eine Auseinanderentwicklung von Ost und West, die viele im Land ja schon länger beobachten.
The platform.
By the way, did you notice? It's exactly like the 6 p.m. news. It's exactly like Action 5 News. All over the world, this homogenized, plain old cookie cutter plastic Barbie and Ken world. It's exactly the same.
X, thanks to Elon Musk, has provided a massive contribution to the preservation of free speech for those who are usually defamed and censored for their opinions. Thus, it is up to the people to shape their opinions in alignment with their moral views, and not just through mere indoctrination.
Yes.
The usual annual events of cheap entertainment, such as the Met Gala,
Let them eat cake,
the Eurovision Song Contest, the Oscars, and now the European Football Champions League, have never felt as irrelevant as this year. It's almost as though the bread and circuses.
Bread and circuses. What am I? You know, you love that one from Juvenal, Roman poet.
Relevant as this year. It's almost as though the bread and circuses no longer entertains us because we simply don't have the capacity for it anymore.
Yes.
Things matter now. We now care about the political and cultural landscape that we are living in. We care about our future.
Yes.
All this climate alarmism, Fridays for Future nonsense of the past.
I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic.
That was all just an act.
How dare you?
People used to pretend to care about the future generations when really this was a narcissistic ideology.
Oh, yes.
This is ending now. It is our responsibility to take back the integrity of the West. And therefore, if you wish to be part of this revolution of common sense, then join us.
Isn't that beautiful?
Thank you for your attention.
This is Naomi Zeibt, S-E-I-B-T. Been following her, a brilliant. And it's the same thing. And she is one, and we have these folks here. It's not just there. Sparky weighs in. He says, growing up during World War II, Mom wanted to be a commando, but when she hit puberty, suddenly she wanted a doll. She went out to the Miss Alabama pageant, then got married and had 6 children as a traditional or trad wife. Interesting. You know what, Sparky? One of the things I find fascinating is that the notion of what is in us by, dare I say, instinct, and what is in us by virtue of who we. When I was a kid, I loved guns. There was a hardware store we'd go to in not too far from where I lived. It was this old-fashioned hardware store where they had everything. It had like a barrel of nails and like a real wooden barrel and a creaky wooden floor, and it smelled of like fertilizer. I loved this place. Hose and spades. Boy, you can't say that. You gotta be careful you say that. Shovels and stuff. And when I walked in there, they had this wonderful, display, and it was, what am I trying to say? It was guns, revolvers, magnums, and I remember just being in love with it, just being so absolutely drawn to it, drawn by these things. And I kept thinking to myself, nobody told me. I had no idea of what that was about. I had no clue. There are things in us, things that are written in our code, and they express themselves later on in terms of mommies and daddies and things like that. Remember something, and I'm going to say this when I start off with this. Fathers are important, certainly. Mothers are important. Yes. But we never, ever talk about the connection and how important it is for a father to be to a daughter. I am the first man you are going to meet. Your mother is your mother, and you have been biologically connected. Both of you are on a wavelength because you and she share the same everything. It's a cosmic connection. You can't, and please, God bless adopteds. God bless foster parents. I'm not, please, but you know what I'm saying is true. It just is. It's one of those things. So this daughter and son, but daughter to an extent, because the son, remember, the son has some kind of a male connection to his own self. But to a daughter, this father dude, this is an alien. What is this? What is this? What do I do? Do I please him? I know mothers are one thing. What do I do? Where do I fit in? How is my relationship with men forever going to be determined by how my father sees me? And when daddies leave and when families break up, there's an abandonment issue there. That is part, because remember, the cement is hardening, and that's a very important thing. It can be, you can't break up the cement and relay the foundation. It doesn't work like that. So just understand something. We can get all this crazy stuff about, you could hear the Larry Kudlow world of lifers, economists, and yeah. This is like, as Naomi Seib said, this is about the Overton window. This is about rational. This is about moral. This is about usual. This is about common sense. Don't ever forget that. That is exactly what this is. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. This is going to be the greatest election, the greatest referendum on common sense that we will ever know and ever see. It is that critical. All right, your friends, have a great and glorious day. We will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Thank you so very much. Sparky, we thank you, my friend. Sparky says, you just can't tell how a child will turn out. Mom began as a tomboy and then ended up a dedicated wife and mother. By the way, Sparky, let me see. The notion of the tomboy is a very interesting one. And the tomboy shows something which is interesting. We allow the tomboy, but not the Thomasina girl. For example, if a girl shows athletic ability, athletic prowess, kind of a toughness, she's out there, we say, oh, isn't that terrific? If a boy were to show too much of, let's say, an artistic mode or bent, somebody who wants to design floral arrangements or fix hair, what's wrong with that? Seriously, what's wrong with that? I don't understand it. And people say, what do you mean what's wrong with it? No, what's wrong with it? Somebody wants to grow up and they want to live in a world of show tunes and whatever. Does that mean necessarily they're not a man? No, absolutely not. Look at Savion Glover. Look at some of the greatest dancers. Look at, I mean, some of them were gay, which is okay, but this is an athleticism and a style and an art. I don't like this. I don't like how we have this idea where if a man is too punctilious as far as art or expression or style, he must be gay. Well, maybe that has been correlated, but I don't see that as necessarily true. I think we also owe a duty to young men to say, I want you to recognize that you can also have an eye for talent. Do you think Picasso was effeminate? Do you think, I mean, these words don't make any sense anymore. There are some people who have a real and true talent for the artistic, for the aesthetic. We give women leeway. Okay, you could be a tomboy. But if little Tommy over here, he's like, why is Tommy interested in hair design? Why not? What if he says, I want to be a barber? Okay, that's okay. But I want to be a hairstylist. Now, wait a minute. We got to get rid of it. That's our problem. That's not their problem. Sparky Funny says the war on small business killed those great old hardware stores. Oh, absolutely. But also the indoctrination, the Home Depots and things like that. Mom never gave up her independence as a person. You know, Sparky, the women that we had, the women that we enjoyed, the mothers of my friends, the mothers growing up, the June Cleavers, they didn't have tattoos. They weren't dancing in the kitchen. They weren't constantly wanting to be MILFs and look how sexy they were. Just normal. They were at the height. They were everybody's mother. And you refer to them as Mrs. So-and-so. I'm getting very nostalgic. And the reason why I'm nostalgic is nostalgic sometimes works best. And I mean that. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Again, happy Father's Day. Have a wonderful day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget, also follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors. There's an important, a critical part. She does a wonderful tribute with a dear friend of ours named Jerry Camerata. And he has talked about this in a way that people figure, I know all about that. No, you don't. So watch her, subscribe to Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. But don't forget, until then, as we always say, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dad.